to see it. I was thinking that after the opening ceremonies and after listening to Florence and after seeing how many people joined us, uh, and after attending the consultation meeting, that this feels like an AGM, smells like an AGM, it is an AGM, and the only thing I can say is I miss giving you a personal hug. Aside of that, it really is an AGM. And what an AGM, the first in the history of RNAO, and likely in the history of any association that I know, to be virtual. Now, there is a difference between RNAO and other associations. We do have an AGM. We have a 3-day AGM. Not every association can pride itself in saying the same. And we have an AGM with fantastic attendance. Over 600 people registered to the AGM. The participation is vibrant. The live stream is vibrant, I hear from our staff. And all in all, we have a lot to be proud. This is the year of the nurse. 2020, the World Health Organization coined this the year of the nurse because it's 200 years of Mother Flo birth. You know, many say, well, this is a year that we were supposed to be celebrating big time. This is a year that was supposed to be all about celebrations. And trust me, we had, in addition to the surprise that you saw yesterday of Florence Nightingale speaking to us, we had many other surprises for you. And it just happened that the world changed and that COVID came to visit us. And one can say this has been the most difficult time. We have lost many lives in Ontario and around the world. We have lost many nurses around the world. In Ontario, we lost Brian Beatty. This has been very difficult time for many of you at work. This has been difficult times for all of us from the long hours we are putting. And yet, this has been, in my view, the best time for nursing. Because once again, we have put, like always, patients first. The difference is that this time it was on display for the world over to see. And in Ontario, and this is why Nursing Now asked us to present to the world, we were ahead of the curve every single step of the way. But the report today is not only about COVID-19, because that has been our life, consuming us for the last 5 months. But the year is more than 5 months. So I want to share with you a bit of what we have been doing all about when speaking out for nursing and speaking out for health, which is what we do at RNAO. I will speak about 5 themes. The first theme that I will speak about is about voice. And voice is what some of us have in spades, but our members have in spades. Let me tell you what we have done in the way of voice. Membership. We have grown our membership, which is the blood in the veins of RNAO. We have, the membership is now 43,400 and change, larger, stronger, more vocal, and more engaged than ever before. Our membership is across the entire province, and our membership reaches every corner, not only in Ontario and Canada, but around the world. To you members, thank you for being the lifeline of RNAO. It is for you that this presentation is dedicated, not only for the work that you have been doing during COVID-19, but for the work that you do every day, before COVID, during COVID, after COVID, and for the life that you give to RNAO. Thank you to each and every one of you. In terms of voice, we also, next one please, PG. In terms of voice, in the midst of a pandemic, we issue ECHO 3.0. And I think this is not only important because what we present on ECHO 3.0, which is once again community care, strengthening community care, and also anchoring it in primary care. But it also is an indication, as it is the rest of the report, of an association that is always thinking outwards, always. An association that despite COVID was not only consumed by COVID, but actually delivered every single aspect of an association's program. And this is what is so remarkable about this report to you, our members. I encourage you to review Enhancing Community Care for Ontarians. You heard the minister, one after another, referring to it yesterday. The government always take us seriously, and I would say now more than ever before. In terms of voice, we spoke during the pandemic, as we did always before, and as we will do always after, for vulnerable populations. We work with situations of persons experiencing homelessness, and we work with AICHA Inner City for opening sites for persons that experience homelessness that are either waiting for their test results of COVID-19 or that are COVID positive. And what a pride do I feel to say in this report to you colleagues, that is one of our colleagues, a leader of our community nursing, a person that used to work at RNO, and you know that now she's a doctor. I'm referring to Dr. Lee Chapman, who is leading AICHA as a nursing model, and for which we provided through the COVID-19 via nurse, many via nurses, as yesterday the minister said, via nurses, over 100 via nurses just to this initiative alone, and many more that you will see later on in the report to the province overall. Equally important, our work with indigenous communities. And on that, I want to thank Sabrina Merali, Grace Suba, Debra Flores, all of our colleagues that work on the BPG program and on the programs that link with indigenous communities, where we sign agreements with our indigenous communities and are providing programs for them second to none. Similarly, and sadly, we needed to speak during COVID in a very forceful voice for vulnerable persons that live in nursing homes in Ontario. I'm not going to go in depth into the analysis, but you have heard me say before and in my blogs that COVID-19 has been a tale of two stories. One story is the story of those that actually are getting better, are doing better. The other is the story of people in congregate communities. So people in shelters, people in incarcerated, people that live in nursing homes, and of course our sisters and brothers in the indigenous communities. They are the most affected, and what's happened in Ontario and around the world, but in Ontario in particular, in nursing homes, is nothing short than abandonment. And for that, in the midst of this crisis, we also issue a report this past week called Nursing Home Basic Care Guarantee. It is a report that you will hear more and more about that. It absolutely needs to be implemented. There is no need for more reports. 2 weeks ago, we issued a report on the issue of more reports, more recommendations, and we have 35 reports in the last 21 years. We got to stop with reports, and we absolutely need to move to action. So on this issue of VNRs, a big thank you first for Daniel Lau, for our Kerry Edwards, for Kenya, for Robert, for Anne-Marie, for all our colleagues at our RNO membership department who work 24/7, and I mean it, 24/7, during the day, during the evening, when people need it at night, when people need it in the weekend. deploying nurses to vulnerable communities and to other communities in need. And of course, for the reports that have to do with vulnerable persons, I want to thank Matt Calway, who we did lend, just so you know, to AICHA. He has been seconded for a few months to AICHA, and to Imagine Bainok, that is for the last 2.5 months or close to 3 months with us. And of course, our colleagues in the policy department, all of them, Brittany that led ECHO, Catherine and Kim that work heavily on the long-term care reports, and absolutely everybody that has done tremendous work with us at RNO. Next one, please, PG. In terms of voice, inquiries and inquests, and I do hope that we don't have many more of those. There is absolutely no need for inquiries and inquests. They take a tremendous amount of time, a tremendous amount of financial resources. And you know what? The sad piece about that is that everybody forgets. In fact, when the media was calling me to tell me, did we think that we need an inquiry or an inquest on this issue of long-term care facilities in Ontario, my answer to them was, do you know what's happening in July 31st, 2020? And a moment of embarrassment passed, and I said, bingo, you don't know, and no one else knows. And I bet you, my colleagues, that most of you may not know. Try to write in the chat line now if you know what happens on July 31st, 2020. And I would love to hear that colleagues in the audience actually do know. Because July, when people don't know, it's an indication of how we forget that this comes from the inquest of that happened over the nurse that killed 8 residents in nursing homes. And this just happened. The results of that inquest was this year, less than a year ago, July 2019. And people already, especially media, politicians, forgot. But you may remember that Minister Fullerton said yesterday that in July 31st, she is going to table her recommendations, and her recommendations for us can be nothing shorter than a nursing home basic care guarantee, which is what we are asking and what you will hear more and more and more from us. No more need for inquiries, no more need for inquests, no more need for commissions. What we need is action. 21 years, my colleagues, 21 years, every single government, but Michael Schreiner, that was not in power before. No single government has done enough about what's happening in nursing home, and this must stop and must stop now. Next one, please, PG. In terms of voice, speaking out with politicians, speaking out with the Prime Minister. You can see that we very delightfully succeeded to have the Prime Minister as part of our Take Our MPP to Work. He visited with my absolutely amazing colleague, Esther Mogadan, the Chief Nurse Officer, who is addressing him there. And Angela and I were in a big screen in front of him, speaking about public health. And I would invite you, it is in the report, and the link to what Esther Mogadan spoke is right there for her own surprise of every single word that she said to the Prime Minister, which was about evidence-based guidelines because they're part of a VPSO, which it was about VNRs because they were the first to use VNRs. So kudos to Esther. What a champion, what an outspoken, articulate person for the nursing community. And I hear that the Prime Minister was thrilled when each one of us was addressing him. Equally important, meetings with Minister Fullerton, meetings with Minister Elliott. And as important as that, colleagues, is your voice. It's the voice that you have taken to every MPP in every corner of this province, to every MPP with the message that is clear, with priorities that are clear. Colleagues, it's impossible that they will not follow on the demands of RNO. It is absolutely impossible, and it's because of the collective voice that we bring to politicians, to civil servants, to the media, and to everybody in between. And it is you, colleagues, because if it was only Angela, or if it was only Morgan or myself, or a handful of board members, that wouldn't have the power that the voice of RNO has, because of an assembly that is second to none, an assembly of leaders that takes on the charge of speaking out for nursing, speaking out for health, through a voice that is convincing, through a voice that is relentless, through a voice that no one can stand in between but to act. Next one, please, PG. Powering is the second theme. And you have heard me speak before about powering. You have heard me also say the difference between powering and empowering. Empowering is giving power to others. Powering means it's yours. We just light the candle like Florence Nightingale did, and we give you the tools for you to take that power and to move it forward. So on powering, we're speaking about first two themes. Powering without capacity building cannot work. To power people, to power organizations, to power communities, you need to build them up. To power, my board powers me by actually giving range to me through the ends. The ends, for example, say what you shall not do, but it allows you to dream big and to act big. And the board always says to me, and Angela has been phenomenal on this, go big, Doris, go big, Doris. And every single board member does the same. Similarly, we power the assembly, and the assembly in turn powers members through capacity building. Look at this and see how much we have done with members to build capacity for policy, to understand policy, and for political action, to take that policy, to take the documents and be able to reflect them as you speak, embedded with your own local stories to politicians. And this is again why it's so convincing to them. The next powering is the capacity building that we do for evidence-based practice. Guys, 19,000 people engaged, 19,000 in 1 year, being powered to do evidence-based practice, either through webinars, through face-to-face meetings, through a variety of other institutes, etc. 19,000 people that we have reached. And for this, I thank Heather Campbell and her entire team of implementation scientists at RNO, and also Megan Bamford and her team, in particular Enquire and the team that of the guideline development, that every time they do a guideline, they do a webinar to share the guidelines so everybody gets power with that knowledge. Every time that we do changes for BPSOs, or that we launch new BPSOs like the Ontario Health Team BPSOs, we do webinars, we build them up with capacity building for them to be able to take that expertise and again, power the rest of the nurses and other health professionals. These 19 people engaged are not only nurses, and that's a good thing, because it will be very selfish for an organization like RNO or for any one of our members to only keep the knowledge for ourselves rather than sharing it with all the other disciplines. Let me tell you, not many disciplines have an association that is so well resourced in terms of people, in terms of finances, that actually you can deliver the way that we do. Hence why we need to share with others. This is why the next theme in powering is powering our members. Powering our members all the way. Powering our members with this capacity building, with the programs, with the meetings, with the structures, with the ENOs that are active, with the assembly, with the chapters, in a way that you take this richness on and you put it out. Next one, please, PG. And of course, information technology. Information technology is like that crumbled thing in the side that puts it, helps us give legs to our message. It's like if you don't have a good information management and technology team, you feel, and trust me, we did feel at RNO years ago like this. We were advancing with BPGs, we were advancing with everything, and yet we didn't have the power horse, I call it, to move fast. And that is what was keeping us. Not anymore. LC, Louis Charles Avali and his team have been phenomenal with information management and technology. And you will see in the report, you don't have many times a CEO that says ahead of the curve, guys, we're not coming on Monday. This was a Friday. We are now starting to work from home because I don't want to risk any of our stuff. And then by end of day, everything is smooth and people are with their computers going home. That doesn't take a day. That takes years of preparation. And that is what LC Lavalley has done so phenomenally alongside his entire team. So thank you again. Kudos to you, LC and team. Next on powering is, of course, finances. You know, we couldn't do all the work and all the amazing, talented people that we have and all the outreach that we do with all of you if we didn't have the financial capacity to do the work. And this is why, to my colleague Nancy Campbell and her entire department, a special thank to you and to the members that continue to grow in numbers and bring finances, to the staff across all departments that watches every penny carefully, and to the board that governs and watches how we're doing with financial matters. Financials matter, colleagues. Financials matter. Next one, please. Next one, PG, please. No, go to the previous one. I think you skipped to, oh, okay, go to the next one. Thank you so much. Practice excellence. Let me talk about practice excellence. Practice excellence is at the core of nursing. Without practice excellence, there is no nursing. There is no RNO. We could be doing everything in the world, but if we don't have practice excellence, we absolutely cannot do the work. So let me tell you about practice excellence and the highlights of this year. Next one, please, PG. Practice excellence, I want to start with the work that I announced last year about nurse practitioners. We announced a task force for nurse practitioners that is second to none. And our colleagues at RNO are driving this in a magnificent sense, in a magnificent way. Andrea, who is now in mat leave, congrats, Andrea. And of course, now Catherine Joel, who was taking it on. Catherine and myself and Irma Jean, we are working together on this piece. And of course, there is the task force of nurse practitioners. And the work that we are finalizing is fantastic. And in September, we are going to launch the Nurse Practitioner Task Force Visioning for the Future, and you will see the recommendations that will come for pushing that agenda forward. We need more nurse practitioners in Ontario. We need more nurse practitioners. In fact, we need a nurse practitioner in every single one of our 625 nursing homes, and we don't have that. Next one, please, PG. Being mindful of the time, I'm not going to dwell in the richness of the best practice guidelines program. Suffice to say that COVID or not COVID, 5 months of it, we absolutely delivered 3 new BPGs this year. So this year we already delivered 1 actually during Nursing Week, oral health, and you will see the other BPGs coming in this year. They're all ready to go and they're fantastic. And thank you to the entire team for that. Next one, please. Best practice spotlight organizations. we continue to grow. And what is most remarkable to me is that COVID-19 has pushed us big time to actually deliver a new methodology for BPSOs in the go forward, because we cannot stop with our international BPSOs, but we cannot go there. So we are, and the same for that matter across Canada. So we are looking with Heather and the team at different methodologies that we will use to move forward with the BPSOs, so we don't hold them back, because they need the work in order for them to advance their practice. And the work of Ontario Health Teams under the leadership of Susan McNeil, working closely with me and with Olivia, is tremendous. And what is most impressing is how that work, despite of COVID, continued to work. The BPSOs, Ontario Health Team BPSOs, continue to meet, continue to want to be engaged. And in fact, they use the Person and Family Centered Care Guideline, which is one of the 2 mandatory guidelines, to drive their work during COVID. So in a sense, the BPSO model served Ontario Health Teams to glue them even more together to fast forward practice excellence, even in the midst of COVID. Colleagues, we have over 1,000 organizations that are BPSOs today around the world. Next one, PG, please. Practice excellence with Inquire, the measurement, the evidence boosters, and everything in between has been tremendous. And for that, I want to thank not only Megan Bamford and the Inquire team, that is tremendous. Also, John Love is my co-chair on the International Advisory Committee of Inquire. And I also want to thank Dr. Janet Squires from the University of Ottawa for being so engaged with us on the measurement of how Ontario Health Teams are coming about the BPSO HTs. Next one, please, PG. Now, this is a special pride because I want you to look and Google how many professional associations, in addition to the work that you already heard, in addition to BPGs, in addition to report after report, in addition to growing membership, growing finances, in fact, growing everything, how many take the time to share, not only in events and in conferences, but actually in publications. It takes time, colleagues, to do a publication. And this year we published 9 outstanding articles in peer review journals, in addition to many others that are not peer reviewed. 9 outstanding pieces. And for that, to all of those that have written articles, I tip my hat, because I do know that the expectations of your CEO are high, but I also know that the importance of sharing broadly our practice excellence tools are critical if we are to continue to work outwards, continue to work in a way that not only benefits RNAO and our members, not only benefits Ontario and Ontarians, but actually that we share that generously around the world, whether it's in Spanish or in English or in another language, so that others can benefit from our richness. Next one, please, PG. I want to talk about partnerships, because partnerships to me has been the highlight, not only of the year, because every year we build partnerships and every year we rejoice in partnerships. But for me, partnerships in particular was the lifeline of COVID-19. I cannot tell you how many times I spoke with colleagues that are not from nursing and not from RNAO, from other disciplines, whether those were infection control specialists, whether those people from the OMA that wanted to speak with us, people from Advantage Ontario that we helped them hugely through Via Nurse. Partnerships to me as a CEO, in addition to my president that was there all the time clapping, and the president-elect Morgan that was all the time also clapping and tweeting and WhatsApping me and others. Partnerships to me was external to nursing, the highlight of RNAO and the support that gave us the tremendous visibility that Areneo has gained through COVID-19. Let me tell you a bit about partnerships. The portal, a special thank you here to two people. One that is surprised that he will give thank you, but he's sitting next to me here showing me that I have only 10 minutes left. And that's my husband, Ricardo, and I will say why. And the other is the Ian and Lola, and of course, Mike and Madison. Madison is a new addition to Areneo. And I want to tell you that this team of Areneo is a dream team. So one night I was talking with Ricardo and saying, you know, these memos that I sent, these updates that I sent are so long, so big. I don't know if anybody will read them anymore. And Ricardo goes, why don't you create a portal? And I go, portal, tell me more about the portal. Next day, I connect Ricardo actually with the team at Areneo, and the rest is history. These people made it happen. And to you guys, thank you, because again, it has given us credibility and visibility and microphone like nothing else. So to you guys, thank you. And of course, to Marianne that worked behind the scenes and LC for making it happen. Thank you guys. And to all of the other team members at Areneo that are participating on every single page in this portal, because on every single page on this portal, there are different teams involved. Too many to mention now, so thank you. Next one in partnerships is the partnership that I mentioned before with our indigenous sisters and brothers, with whom we connect to this day. And it is through that partnership that we actually then, during COVID, assisted them in getting a fulsome plan that now they're using in their own communities. It's an amazing partnership. It's a partnership that we learn as much as we give. In fact, colleagues, we learn more than what we give. So to my colleagues, to the chief, and to everybody of the BPSOs, thank you. Thank you for the partnership. We are learning, as I said, as much as we are giving. And that partnership was signed in front of the board with the chiefs of Ontario. And it was a tremendous moment that will carry us for years to come. Next one, please. The partnership for members. You know, life is not only about getting, it's more about giving. And Areneo and our entire leadership at Areneo is always in tune into that. Members gives us their voice. Member gives us their, as I said before, lifeline. Members give us their resources. Members go to meet with MPPs. Members go to work every day. Members implement the guidelines. And we are always thinking, how do we give back to members? And to members, one important piece that we give is to protect you. Number one, to protect your career through best practice guidelines. Number two, to protect your practice through PLP and through lab. Number three, to protect your careers through RN careers. And number four, to protect your assets through hub. So colleagues, please know, you the members, you are first in mind and last in mind for us. And we always keep ourselves thinking, what and how can we give back to members, because members are all the time giving to us. Next one, please, PG. I spoke about the partnership with the OMA. I spoke about the partnership with AICHA before, with the chiefs, and I spoke about the partnership with Advantage Ontario. So I'm not going to take more time, except if they are online, to say to them, thank you. There is one more partnership that came a bit as a surprise this year to me. And this was a partnership that actually was initiated by Nursing Now. They connected with us, impressed of our work. They connected with us because they wanted to know more of our work on BPGs. As a result, what you can see is that we were named in the World Health Report. Areneo is there. I had the pleasure to review that report. We did also webinars for Nursing Now. And of course, on Saturday, when you see Barbara Stilwell, who you were supposed to see in person please say to her that we value the partnership with them, because Nursing Now has been for us a true sister, brother, together with us. So to them, thank you again. Collective identity is the last pillar that I want to speak with you about. And collective identity, if we go to the next slide, PG, is all about social movement. The pins that you guys wear and that I wear. You can see I wear the pin of RNO, BPSO, Order of Ontario, which is a mask, and Sigma. That's my collective identity. Those are things that I keep dear to my heart, that I have been heavily involved with. That's part of who I am as a nurse. And those are the pins that you use day in and day out. One ask is we want you to use them for work. We absolutely want you to use for work your pins of RN, NP, and nursing student. We need you to use them for work, because we need the world to know that you are an RN. We need the world to know that you are a nurse practitioner. We need patients to know that you are a nursing student. You are, I am sorry to say, I'm not being elitist, you are different than other people. Linda Lee O'Brien Pallas, years ago, I remember, and I hope she's listening. And if you are, I love you, Linda. But Linda Lee O'Brien Pallas did years ago a piece of research when she was very engaged with RNO. And it had nothing to do with RNO, it had to do with what makes nurses happy. And lo and behold, she discovered that those that were members of RNO were happier workers than others, were more satisfied workers. Colleagues, you need to wear your pin, promise me. Wear your pin to work, send pictures to Madison and to me, and send pictures to Susan McNeil with your pin on, and we will tweet those pictures, because you make a difference in practice. You make a difference in policy. You make a difference in so many other ways. And yes, you are different than others, and I'm not going to shy away of that. And of course, the pins of PPSOs that you can see there from all over the world, in Spanish, in English, in Chinese, you know, in Australian, in case my colleagues in Australia are working, pins of all kinds, all with the collective identity of PPSO. For this work, I want to thank our team that is carrying the concept analysis, which you will see very, very soon. Catherine, tremendous work. Shelly-Ann, tremendous work. Susan, that keeps us on track. Olivia, that keeps us on track. And I, that I'm delighted to co-chair that work with Janet Squires from Ottawa. What a piece of work we are doing, colleagues. We are revolutionizing the world. And when this new framework, the Leading Change Toolkit, will be out in a few months, we will revolutionize the world with social movement and collective identity that will fire up everybody to do even more with evidence uptake. Next one, PG, please. Resolutions. What is resolutions if not collective identity? What is resolutions if it's not what I experienced last night when Paula and Paul Andre and others were saying, and this is the job of RNO, and this is what RNO does, and this is not what RNO does, and other colleagues typing. What do we do? How do we accept, how do we move this resolution forward? One helping the other in the discussion in resolutions, because you feel part of this collective. Because for you, this association is important. Because colleagues, this association is yours. I don't know if you remember, some of you may, very few, because the majority are too young to remember, but my first column that someone did before I came to RNO was that no one owned RNO, that members were not enough engaged, the board was not enough engaged, the staff was, you know, very small staff of 19 people. Guys, you own this association, and my golly, you're doing it beautifully. From the members to the board to the assembly, we have a collective identity that is allowing us to move the association for the association to power changes in the province, in the country, and in the world. And for that, I cannot thank you enough. Next one, please, PG. Members Recognitions Award. Well, collective identity. And we had more applications than ever before. And when my team said that to me, I was thrilled. The more, the better. And yes, today we're going to celebrate yet new people into the awards, and each one of you deserves that award and many more to come. Next one, please. There is no collective identity without an amazing board, without an amazing staff, and without a partnership between them that shows shared leadership. You know, I know many organizations where the board has little voice. That's terrible. That's no governance. I also know organizations where the staff has no voice. Well, that's terrible too in our view. We believe in shared leadership between members and between board, shared leadership with an assembly and with everybody, shared leadership between president and president-elect and CEO, shared leadership between the RNO, CEO, and the staff, shared leadership where the staff can say what they think and the staff can give ideas, and the report is actually the reflection of that. A staff that every single person was involved in that report. And I cannot end without saying that in my personal life, shared leadership for me is also my family. A family that puts up with me, that puts up to the long hours, that gives me ideas. This guy, Ethan Grinspun, my son, who gladly, they're not anymore in the US, they're here at home, back home, telling me, what about the BPGs? Are you bringing artificial intelligence to it? And giving his own ideas on how we can grow our collective RNO. A grandson that says RNO and knows what RNO is. Another son that brings hummus and pita so I can have some rest, and they pride on RNO. A daughter-in-law that actually works for the midwives and understands RNO. A son-in-law that Morgan yesterday wrote to me, was your son-in-law that did the Florence, because one time he acted me up. He's an actor and also a magnificent actor. And of course, the grandkids that fill me with energy, same as my staff and same as my board. To you guys, thank you. Next one, please, BG. Together We Can Do It was initiated in March 19, and it has not missed a beat. I need to tell you, because I'm not going to lie, that the first night when we started, I was frantically calling Susan, frantically calling Marianne, because the media wanted to see what was this all about. And I had no clue if anybody will be clapping or honking or anything. So basically I go, Marianne, please go to your neighbors, do something, get them together. Susan, do something. Heather, can you do something with your sister in Newfoundland? Like basically, it was a show. And sure enough, the media did show up, and it was profiled on CBC, and the rest is history. With Susan pounding every day, saying to staff, now these 5 ones need to do something with others. But you know, guys, people are talking about Together We Can Do It now, right? Marianne, Imagine every night with her fabulous message, others, people are talking. And let me show you what collective identity with Together Can Do It is all about. Next one, please, PG. So Florence Nightingale said, we must never forget that the individual makes the association. What the association is depends on each of its members. A nurses association can never be a substitute for the individual nurse. It is she, he, or they, I hope she would say today, who must each in her own way, or his or their way, measure, give life to the association, while the association helps her or him or they. The reality is, colleagues, this is what we call powering members. Powering members, so members are the ones that give life to the association. Powering members so that members are the ones that with us give us the journey. Members that give voice to this association like no other association. And for that, let me show you next slide from the Together We Can Do It. Play it out. We can't hear. Can we hear? So a lot of noise, but we can't hear it. In any case, this is a family that they're not nurses. This couple got a message from a nurse, and I hope the nurse is in the audience. And that nurse, you can play it, PG, and that nurse said to the family, just so you know, RNAO, the Registered Nurses Association, is asking people to make noise every evening. And the Stevens family, every single night is cheering up, and they have been in the radio and they spoke about RNAO, and guess what? They're not nurses. They're both teachers. So here you go, guys. We're powering nursing and beyond nursing, and for that, I thank you. I want to thank IFRA. Wait a minute, don't go yet. I didn't do this. I want to thank IFRA. IFRA for pulling together a 3-day AGM, colleagues, a 3-day AGM in a way that, yes, of course, she had help from others in the association, not me, she did it, and she did it in a magnificent way. And I want to thank PG. PG's work this year, and in particular during COVID, has been admirable. You know those blogs at the beginning when things were very heated that you got at 3 in the morning? Yes, I wrote them, but PG is the one that would get a call because she agreed to that and she sent them. So PG, to you, my heart, a special thank you. Thank you guys for a fantastic year again. Next one. Now we're done. To you guys, thank you. We did it again and together.